And the Senate, with due respect, a lot of people that make very daft arguments. This argument of no network was the same argument you made in 2023, guys. I mean, think of something new. You are not challenging us intellectually. Lie number one, they tell. Nigeria do not have adequate network in all parts of the country to ensure election transmission of results. A big lie. In the last election, INEC recorded about 95% full-on transmission.
The Senate has announced that it will hold an emergency plenary sitting on Tuesday, February 10, 2026. The announcement was made on Sunday in a statement signed by the clerk of the Senate, Emmanuel Odo, who said all senators have been requested to attend. The session, which is scheduled to commence at 12 noon, is coming days after the Senate passed the amendment bill on February 4. The Senate shut down Clause 60 and Subsection 3, which would have mandated presiding officers to electronically transmit results from polling units directly to INEC result viewing portal in real time. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Labour Congress has warned of potential nationwide protests and election boycotts over what it describes as confusion and contradictory positions by the Senate on amendments of the 2022 Electoral Act. The Labour Union accuses the Senate of undermining public confidence in Nigeria's electoral process by failing to clearly state whether electronic transmission of results will be mandatory. The NLC says it is concerned that the Senate is planning to undermine the country's fledgling democracy. According to the NLC, the lack of clarity surrounding the Senate's decision threatens electoral integrity and public trust. It submits that Nigerians deserve a transparent system where votes are not only counted, but must count.
Okay, I think I'll dwell mostly on the election bill because that's the future of Nigerians. And I'm going to dispel a lot of lies because I see people are selectively lying. It has gotten to a point where a lot of people are lying. Lie number one, they tell. Nigeria do not have adequate network in all parts of the country to ensure election transmission of results. A big lie. In the last election, INEC recorded about 95% full-on transmission. In fact, that was the presidential because of the case of the technical glitch, which INEC has not been able to tell us why. But also, you had higher percentages, even more than the 95%, in cases around the elections of the State House of Assembly and the House of Assembly election, the parliamentary elections. In 2022 Osun by-election, you had 98 to 100% transmission as at the night of the election. So the first lie a lot of people come to tell you that, oh, we don't have enough network, is a lie. Second lie, the people that come to make the argument that we don't have enough network to transfer, they don't even know the size of the sheets where you transfer. The election sheet, the picture of the election sheet you transfer. The election sheet is between 700 to 800 kilobytes, not even up to 1 megabyte. And that can easily be transferred. Another lie they tell is, how many countries do electronic real-time transmission? It's another big lie. There are many countries that do it. There's Kenya, that did it successfully in the last election. There is Brazil, which is almost our size in terms of democracy and even have more voters. You have countries like India, which is one of the largest democracy, if not the largest democracy in the world. They have electronic transmission. Countries called the Philippines. So this other argument they make, how many countries? There's another lie they spew. Do America even do electronic transmission real time? The reason why America doesn't do it, because America operates full federalism. Local governments do their election precinct by precinct, you get results from there. But those results are also released to different sources in almost like a real-time manner. That's why you see America can have exit polls. Thirdly, what are the arguments? Because a lot of people don't even understand the arguments. The argument is that we want to make this process justiciable. That's the argument. Currently, it's not justiciable. You can't take the result from IREV. And that's what happened in the Peter Obi case that they filed. Because they went to get the result from IREV, thinking they can file it in court. Courts then said, no, it's not justiciable. That the best you can do is to use it as corroborative evidence, but it's not the hard evidence. Why are we calling for the mandatory result? We are saying because we want the hard evidence to be taken from IREF to be presented in court to defend your case when you see there's election manipulation. Another lie they tell, oh, in the last election, one of the reasons why Peter Obi didn't do well is that he didn't have enough polling agents. If he had enough polling agents in 176,000 polling units, they would be able to give him all the election sheet to defend his election. It's a lie. There is no political party, I have based on empirical data, that had close to 20,000 or 40,000 result EC8A sheets of all the polling units across the country. Where are you going to get the scale from? I say to them with empirical certainty, if they had it, they should come out. In their data room, the people they put on the field, under election conditions, you will get over 176,000 sheets. It's not possible now in a country where you have multiple polling agents, work for multiple political parties, under election condition. So let's stop deceiving ourselves. So that scale is almost impossible. So when they say that, and that's why we are calling for the use of the IREF to be the general scale that everybody can have access to. If you feel disgruntled, you can also go and pick your data from there and be able to prove. That's what we are talking about. So that's why we are saying this matter is pertinent. And the Senate, with due respect, a lot of people that make very daft arguments. This argument of no network was the same argument you made in 2023, guys. I mean, think of something new. You are not challenging us intellectually. I mean, we feel scared that it's this quality of senators that are there that are making the same argument they made in 2023 that is not holding. It's not landing. Think of the more, cerebral. I mean, if you had even talk about the technical glitch role of hackers, or you try to get one or two hackers to try to see if the system is fail-proof and all of that, I mean, you bring the empirical data, we can even look at it. But think of something. This argument of the network country, it's not landing as an argument. So these are the issues this morning. And these are the arguments we are trying to make so that they can make it justiciable, so that you can have scale. Countries that did this successfully, I mean, to a large extent, it reduced the tension in Kenya in the last election. We could all follow the tally as it was going on. And it's been used in many off-cycle elections. But this attempt not to pass it and all of these arguments, then it's not going to hold water. The Senate is going to hold an emergency sitting. Please, other senators, please go after them and let us ensure that this is mandatory. These guys should not run away because this was the exact thing. And you know what happened? Before they could finally pass it, they saw this lacuna. That's why they passed it the last time. Because they knew they were going to meander it. Because I know they've been calling their consultants and telling them how we're going to meander the law. That's what they do. They do it every time. We know the details. We know the consultants they talk to.
First subject, in my view, the National Assembly has been on recess for 2 weeks. And now the chairman of the National Assembly has called them back to meet tomorrow, by noon tomorrow, to follow what they call votes and proceedings, which is basically a process for the endorsement of the position of the Senate. So it's just procedural. Before you now have the harmonization conference committee of the entire National Assembly, namely the meeting between the Senate and the House of Reps to harmonize their position. It is also important to note that the Senate President, Chairman of the National Assembly, said over the weekend that the National Assembly will not be intimidated. And he made a point, also corroborated by the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, that electronic transmission has not been removed from the deal. However, what has been done is to remove the idea of real time and to say that, look, electronic transmission will be done at the polling unit level, at the ward level, at the state level, at the national level, but not real time. Okay, the argument that in 2023 that there could be a problem with transmission infrastructure, electricity, and all that. Well, there is a research that has been done by the opposition parties that in fact show that 93% transmission to IREF in 2023 worked. It only did not work during the presidential election We still treated this subject yesterday with one of the stakeholders on This Day Live, the Sunday talk show. And that why are they now saying that it will not work this time around? People live in rural areas. They do electronic transfer. You transfer money to them, it works. Yes. So why will transfer real time of election results not work? However, the position of the Senate is that, look, there could be issues, post-election issues, creating a lot of litigation, a lot of doubts, particularly about remote communities. In fact, the chairman of the National Assembly was very specific. He said in 9 states of the Federation, there could be issues, and that would lead to chaos after the election. So now that they are coming back tomorrow from recess, they are trying to show the urgency of the matter. Secondly, I make the point that it's just procedural. So those who expect any major reversal may be disappointed. But a counterpoint to that is that civil society leaders, from Femi Falana to Professor Patu Tomi to former Minister Obi Ezekwesili, to Wale Okuniyi, Comrade Shehu Sani, and others, have said, no, this cannot work. Civil society groups are saying, what we want is real-time transmission of results, including the NBA, including the Nigerian Labour Congress. In fact, the Nigerian Labour Congress, led by Joe Ajero, is threatening that there will be protests before, during, and after the election. So the only thing we can say is that the National Assembly should not just say nobody can intimidate us. It is important to listen to these people, because the basic thing that Nigerians are asking for is free, fair, and credible elections. They just had an election in Japan, a snap election called by Sane Takaishi, the first female prime minister of Japan. The election was yesterday. By end of yesterday, we already knew who the winner was. Takaishi winning with 65%. Our party, the Liberal Democratic Party, taking 68%. The best result, that the Liberal Democratic Party or any other party in that country has recorded. In Thailand, they also had the election. These February elections that Adefemi Akintoye reminded us of. And we already know how that 3-way process in Thailand is going. It's not a rocket science. Nigeria can do it. So, and Nigerians have the right to say, for transparency, for, credibility, if we need to upgrade infrastructure, there's still enough time, we should upgrade it. That is the position of the people. So those are the two sides of the argument. You can balance them out depending on your political orientation.
Electoral Amendment Act. I'm glad that Nigerians have spoken out, whether it be from prominent Nigerians or even everyday people who, through their different platforms, have spoken out very strongly about the omission of the mandatory transmission of results electronically during the election. The Senate has said they're going to come and meet tomorrow. I think very critical, number one, is that may all the senators show up. Because we've talked about how some critical senators or some people who are there on the mandate of the people miss out on key debates and key issues like this. And so that's one thing, that they come out, they've been invited by the Senate president. Number two is that hopefully they will take away personal and political interest and put, for once, the interest of the Nigerian people at the fore of their decision making. Unfortunately, I'm not very optimistic, but I want to put some faith in the Senate to actually do right by the Nigerian people whom they represent. The clamor is loud. The voices of the people are loud. A lot of people, I've hardly heard, aside from the politicians, quarters where they have said, oh, let's not make it mandatory. The arguments have been made already. Those, the excuses that have been given have been broken down, have been defeated by a number of people technically that it is possible to actually transmit electronically. Some people have even cited the fact that we have POS operators in these areas and they're able to make transfers possible. So why is it impossible for us to be able to transmit results 1 or 2 weeks in a year during election season? It's also an indictment. Instead of the Senate to give excuses as to why this cannot work, should they not be finding solutions to ensure that we're able to shore up or beef up infrastructure to accommodate the transmission of results? This is 2026, for crying out loud. If we're going to compete favorably with the rest of the world, we have to get infrastructure, especially technology, right. And so for them to be able to come out and comfortably say that, oh, we cannot do this because because we cannot transmit, if I said less than 1 MB of data in an area, that's an indictment on this government. And so I'm hoping that tomorrow when they have their meeting, it would actually be, finally show strength, leadership to the Nigerian people.